Welcome to the Beyond Bloated Podcast. I'm Carly, a certified health coach helping women under 50 ditch their bloat without having to follow super strict and stressful protocols. As someone who's struggled with all sorts of digestive issues for over 5 years, I know exactly how you're feeling. I also know that there's a way to feel better, and it doesn't have to involve tons of expensive supplements and insanely restrictive diets. Join me as I share all of my bloat-busting wisdom to help you say goodbye to that bloated belly and regain your confidence. It's time for you to move beyond bloated. Hello, and welcome back to the Beyond Bloated Podcast. I don't know about where you live, but here in Victoria, BC, where I live, the weather has been beautiful. Spring has definitely sprung. It's only March. I'm recording this in advance. So right now it's like end of March. Gorgeous. It's been sunny. It's been warm. And that has encouraged me to get a lot more physical activity. I hate winter, as most of us do. I'm not a fan of the cold. I don't like winter sports, so I kind of hermit a little, which isn't great. But now that it's getting warmer out, like last week, I literally crushed my fitness goals. I got over 10,000 steps on Sunday. I went for a hike. My softball team, I've played softball my whole life, so my current softball team practices started up on Saturday. So had a softball practice, went to spin. I've started going to spin class. That's new. I've only done 3 classes so far. They're indoors, but oh my God, what a workout. My legs, my lungs, everything is on fire. Get really, really sweaty, but it's a lot of fun. So if you've never tried spin class, give it a whirl. And I've also been doing personal training sessions with my softball team on Wednesdays. So one of the ladies on my team has a personal trainer, and she agreed to train us as a group. So every Wednesday night, we get together at the gym for an hour, work with this personal trainer, get all strong and ripped for baseball season. Basically, I've just been doing a shit ton of physical activity. And me 6 years ago would never, ever believe that I am doing this right now, because I was so lazy is a great word to describe it, I guess. I didn't have any desire for physical activity. I have played softball my whole life, so that's pretty much the only physical activity I ever got besides, dancing at the bar in university. I was never overweight, so in my eyes, I didn't need to exercise, which is ridiculous, but I was a teenager. I wasn't overweight. I didn't think I need to work out for any other reason, because, they don't really teach you in school about working out for other reasons other than losing weight. Not that I can recall anyway, but I never had the desire to work out. That's what I want to talk to you about today. How I got from that person who ate horribly, never exercised, was in terrible gut health condition, to the person I am now, who is thriving, loves healthy food, loves exercise, and is now using all of my gut health knowledge to help others do the same with their lives. It's crazy. It's crazy how things work out. We're going to rewind back about 15 years, which is scary, but 15 years ago, Carly was in high school, and like I said, was never overweight, but I had terrible habits. Nutritionally, there was 0 nutrition in my diet. My breakfasts were very sweet, sugary cereals and toaster strudels, just a lot of sweets. I've always had a sweet tooth, but it was really bad back then. So big sugary breakfast, lunch I'd go get a bagel or more carbs, maybe some chicken strips. So at least we had some protein, but it's fried. It's not good. Snacks after school, chips, crackers, more carbs. Sometimes my parents would make dinner, so at least I'd have a good dinner, But other than that, diet was horrific. I already said, didn't exercise other than softball, which I only did in the summer. So there was a couple months where I was doing a sport. But if you know anything about softball or baseball, it's not the most energetic sport. There's a lot of standing and sitting around. It's not like soccer where you're running around the whole time. So yeah, exercise was a 0 almost. And sleep-wise, I was tired all the time. I would wake up exhausted for school, drag myself out of bed, I had to keep myself awake during class. I'm like nodding off. Not a surprise because of the lack of physical activity, and my diet was so bad. So it all made sense. I didn't have any blaringly obvious gut issues at that point, though. I feel like I was young, so I kind of got away with more than now. And it also built up over time because my habits were still bad in university. The only symptom that I had in high school that I now can connect to gut health was these really bad throat infections that I would get every year, sometimes multiple times a year. It would get so bad, like I would be up and not being able to eat or drink anything for a week. Like I would be in so much pain, sipping water, swallowing my food. And eventually I would give in and go to the walk-in clinic, and they would swab my throat, and they would always come back and say, no, it's negative. You don't have strep throat. But it had been going on for like 7 days at this point. So I'm begging them for antibiotics because I'm like, something is wrong. Like, it's not getting better. It's been a week. And they would give me antibiotics. They just hand that shit out like candy. So I take the antibiotic, it clears up, and then it comes back 7, 8 months later. Since I've cleaned my act up, I have not had a single throat infection. Knock on wood, just in case. But that went on for years, those throat infections, like clockwork. I knew I was getting at least one a year, if not more. I haven't had one now in 6 years. Okay, moving from high school to university, things got a lot worse because now I'm living away from home. I'm responsible for making all of my food. I have no parental supervision. I can stay up late. I can go to the bar. I can do whatever I want. And I sure did. So obviously I started drinking alcohol. And like most people do in university, you party with your friends, you go out to bars, clubs, whatever. You're drinking way too much. And you were drinking way too often. So I did that. I am ashamed to admit my signature beverage was Sunny D and vodka. Okay. I have never been able to drink anything carbonated. I can't burp, which sounds insane, but there are other people out there who can't burp. Okay. It's not just me. So if I drink anything carbonated, it just gets trapped in my chest and I get like this pain and it's uncomfortable. So even like as a kid, I actually didn't drink pop, so I had that going for me. But I've always avoided carbonation. So like when everyone else was drinking, their coolers or their vodka sodas, whatever, I couldn't participate because the carbonation would put me in pain. So I invented my own drink, the Sunny D vodka. I would get I think it was like 1.5 liters, the big, big jug of Sunny D. And I would drink that whole thing in a weekend, mixing it with vodka. Okay, don't even want to know what that did to my gut. Oh my God. That alone probably put me in this position. But that's just one of the things that caused my problems. My sleep schedule in university was obviously a mess because when you go out to the bar, you're out till 2 a.m. and you eat your burrito on the way home. And now you're not going to bed till like 3, 4 in the morning. Oh, you got class at 9 a.m. Okay. You got a solid 5 hours of sleep. Interrupted sleep because alcohol ruins your sleep. So sleep schedule was a nightmare. Diet did not improve from high school. If anything, probably got worse. I didn't know how to cook. And so I would just make everything from a box. Like I would go to the grocery store and buy like frozen chicken strips, pizza bagels, pop that in the toaster oven. There you go. I could make Kraft dinner really well. My roommates would tell me that I was in charge of the Kraft dinner because I was so good at making Kraft dinner. Is that a brag? No. Kraft dinner, not a good meal. Yeah, so bad diet, bad sleeping habits. Now I've introduced alcohol into my diet. Yeah, big, messy university years. And because of that, my symptoms started getting worse. So I was still getting those throat infections. But on top of that, now I was also getting urinary tract infections. So I'm taking antibiotics for the throat infections and the UTIs often. And I was also getting sick a lot, like just a cold. I think it was one of the years, second or third year university. I swear I was sick every single month for like a 6-month period. And it got so bad that my mom actually took me to a naturopath, but that was my first experience with any sort of natural health. And I was not a fan back then because I was a university student. I knew nothing about holistic health, didn't care, didn't want to be there. I was like, this isn't going to help me not get sick. Like, you're crazy. So I didn't listen or participate in whatever went on there. I don't even really remember much now. It was so long ago. So yeah, I was sick all the time, throat infections, UTIs, taking a lot of antibiotics. Also, I went on birth control when I was in university. If you are unaware, birth control messes your gut up. It depletes the body of essential vitamins, minerals, and it also messes up your hormones, can put you in an estrogen dominance, which can also contribute to gut issues. So just be aware if you are on hormonal birth control. It's not really meant to be long-term. I was on it for 10 years. If I knew what I knew now, I would have never done that. But nobody tells you. Nobody told me when I went on the pill that these are possible side effects. So I found out the hard way. These things don't really seem like gut issues, but again, I've told you about the throat infections going away. The UTIs that I was experiencing, I was getting those like 3-4 times a year. And knock on wood again, haven't had one of those in also, I believe, 6 years. Actually, that's a lie. I had one within the 6-year period, and that's because I accidentally ate gluten 3 days in a row. I didn't know I was eating gluten, and that caused me to get a UTI. So other than that, have not had any sort of infection that required antibiotics since I've cleaned up my diet, started exercising, all the healthy habits that I've implemented since my high school university fiasco. So yes, even things that are not obviously gut related are gut related. There's actually once I left university that shit hit the fan. So I graduated from university when I was 21, 22, something like that. And I was working part-time at Cineplex in the VIP theater. So like we served drinks and alcohol and all that to the seats, if you've ever been to one of those. So I was one of the servers there. And I worked there all through university, but I also worked there when I finished university before I got a full-time job in my field. So I was really close with all those people there because I had worked with them for years. They were all around my age. So we went out and we drank and partied a lot together. And so the drinking and the unhealthy habits continued. The Cineplex that I worked at, there was a Harvey's in the plaza. I actually know that Harvey's is a Canadian thing, so if you're not Canadian, you might not know what I'm talking about, but it's just like a fast food place with hamburgers, fries, all that stuff. And we were obsessed with Harvey's, so like once a week on break, we'd go to Harvey's. Sometimes on break, we'd go to the Milestones and drink a Bellini, like a lot of drinking, a lot of fast food. After we were done work, we'd go out to like one of the bars, and one of my friends moved to Toronto, so I was going out in Toronto most weekends, again, drinking, eating bad food, staying up way too late. And then eventually my body said, okay, enough of you. We are showing you that this needs to end. Like, you are going to have symptoms that you can no longer ignore. At this time, I had quit Cineplex and I had started my first full-time job as a data analyst. I went to school for mathematics and education, FYI. So I had started this new job, and all of a sudden, my stomach was not chill. I would eat, and sometimes I would get like this stabbing pain in my gut, and then I would be running to the washroom with explosive diarrhea in this brand new office that I'm just starting at. And we do like potluck lunches sometimes. And like at this point, I don't know what is going on because I was fine and now all of a sudden I'm not. Like, I don't know what the deal is. So it's not in my head that like I'm maybe eating something that isn't agreeing with me. And so we have these potluck lunches where like everyone is supposed to bring a different food dish. We all eat it. I'm sure you know what a potluck is. So we're doing this, and I like black out and forget that I'm having these gut problems, and I eat literally everything. I love eating. I still do. So I'm like one of those. I pick up everything. I eat it all. And there was like probably a 15-minute delay between like I would finish eating and then 15 minutes later I would be in pain. And I remember eating the potluck and then going back to my desk and just having a moment of realization of like, oh my God, what have I done? And so I just like sat there in panic because I was like, wait. I probably ate something that's going to cause these gut pains and diarrhea. Sure enough, about 15 minutes after I'm done eating, I'm booking it to the washroom. I'm in there. It's embarrassing. And this went on for probably a couple months before I started to really realize, like, okay, I need to do something. Like, this isn't a phase. This is really happening. And my mom has been gluten and dairy free for a very long time. Like, probably, I don't even know, 15 years now. So she was gluten and dairy free back then. So I knew about gluten and dairy-free lifestyles, but I had never tried it or obviously wanted to. And then I was like, hey, maybe this is happening to me. So I cut out dairy and I continued eating gluten, still had problems. Then I cut out gluten, but I continued eating dairy, still had problems. But because it wasn't happening every single time I ate gluten or dairy, I was not convinced that that was my problem. So I was like, I just ate bread yesterday and I was fine. So can't be bread. Definitely not bread. Of course, through all of this, I'm also super bloated. I actually forgot to mention that, even though this is the Beyond Bloated podcast. I'm just so used to talking about bloat. It's just like a given. But bloating was actually the first thing I noticed before the gut pain started. So I noticed that I was bloated and I was like, weird. Didn't do anything about it. And then the gut pain, the diarrhea kicked in shortly after. So I went to a doctor, my family doctor, and I told her, I was like, I'm bloated all the time. I'm having like gut pain and diarrhea after I eat sometimes, but not all the time. What's the deal? And she, told me I was probably celiac and also lactose intolerant. I am neither, spoiler alert. And she also prescribed me a gas medication to help with the bloat. Also didn't do anything, obviously. So that was super helpful. Just kidding. And then I gave up with that because I took the gas med a few times and I was like, this is stupid. This isn't working. So I went to see a naturopath, and this one I went to because they specifically had like a food sensitivity test that I could do without having to give blood. I'm very afraid of needles. It's like a phobia that I've had my whole life. Giving blood, needles, hate it so much. So I was like, if there's another option, I want that. So I found one really close to my house called electrodermal screening. So instead of blood, they use like these little proby things, and they use acupuncture points on your body to get a reading for each food. So like the lady who did it on me had like a laptop, this proby thing, and I gave her my hand, and there's like a spot on your finger that I guess responds to food sensitivities. So each like food is programmed into her laptop somehow. I don't know the logistics. And she poked my finger for each food, and a reading would come up on the screen. And if the reading was super high, it would be flagged as red, and that indicates that your body is having a negative response to that food. So I did that, and basically my entire report came back flagged as red. I was supposedly intolerant or sensitive to like everything. Gluten and dairy, obviously, were flagged. Other things like oranges were flagged. A lot of sugars, almost all of the sugars actually. Oils, canola oil, which to this day I still stay away from, which most people should because it's just inflammatory. So yeah, I had a mental breakdown because my naturopath showed me this report and was like, yeah, you need to stop eating all this food. And that's all I ate. Like at that time, I still hadn't changed my diet. So I was still living the life on pizza bagels and toaster strudels. And so since she said stop eating all of this, I was like, what am I supposed to eat? I don't know how to eat any other way. I'm going to die. So I held it together until I got home, and then I just started crying my eyes out because I was like, I have to stop eating all these foods. What am I going to eat? Like, my life sucks. Why is this happening to me? Boo-hoo. I mean, it makes sense. It was very traumatic. It was eye-opening, and at the same time, I knew I was going to do it. I think if I saw that and I was like, I'm just going to keep living the way I live, who cares about this report? I probably wouldn't have been upset. But I did the test to get answers, and there they were. These foods were causing me pain, and I didn't want to be in pain anymore. So the day after I got that report, I stopped eating gluten and dairy, and my symptoms improved significantly. They did not resolve everything, but like the gut pain and the diarrhea slowly started to dissipate, eventually went away. The bloating remained, and like a bunch of other symptoms that I can now relate to my gut health also remained. Like I was still tired all the time. I had really bad seasonal allergies that have now gone away. I don't have seasonal allergies anymore. I used to have really dry, itchy skin. Don't have that problem anymore. Lots of things that, like I said earlier, you don't necessarily connect to your gut health are connected to your gut health. So at this point, those haven't gone away. I haven't made the connection that these are things that can go away. But the most painful and embarrassing symptoms, the gut pain and diarrhea after eating, are gone. So I was like, hell yeah. This is awesome. This small win really set me on the path of gut health, like noticing that, hey, if I just start eating better, I feel better, really got in my head. And I was like, wow, this is cool. This is an interesting fact. And then I kept seeing my naturopath and I kept learning more about gut health, and she kept trying to help me, get rid of my bloating and whatever. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to solve the problem for me. So eventually I stopped seeing her. I saw a nutritionist. I did live blood analysis. I saw a SIBO specialist because I ordered myself a breath test to get tested for SIBO because my doctor refused to give me one because she told me that I'm probably just lacking nutrients because I don't drink cow's milk. Literally came out of her mouth. Couldn't believe it. So she refused to give me a test for SIBO because apparently I don't drink cow's milk and that disqualifies you from having SIBO. So I ordered one myself, tested for SIBO, tested positive for SIBO, by the way. And I saw a SIBO specialist, also wasn't able to help me. His treatment made me worse. And so I ended up resolving SIBO on my own. And basically, I'm just speeding through all these things that I've done because it's just an insane list. I'll definitely go through more of these things in detail in another episode, but the point of today was I wanted to kind of show you where I started 15 years ago and then show you where I'm at now and how I got there. So it was like me in the beginning, didn't know anything about nutrition, exercise, gut health, just living a chaotic life. And slowly but surely, my symptoms kept getting worse and worse. My body eventually had enough, blew up on me, couldn't ignore it anymore. So I went looking for a solution. Couldn't really find one through a doctor. So then I went to a naturopath. Naturopath didn't resolve my issues, but it sparked something in me. Her showing me this list of foods that were causing me pain made me realize like food has something to do with this. Now, I'm not saying you should eliminate a ton of food because that's not what I ultimately ended up doing. Yes, I cut out gluten and dairy. I am still gluten and dairy free to this day. That's a personal choice. I have no desire to not eat gluten and dairy free. Like it really doesn't bother me. I don't find it restrictive in any way. Some people's goal is to be able to eat gluten and dairy again. Good for you. If that's your goal, you can totally work towards that. But for me, I don't care. I like the food that I eat. I feel good eating this way. It really doesn't bother me. But I don't think you should be cutting out like fruits and vegetables and grains other than gluten if you're intolerant. Those are healthy foods. And if your body is reacting to those, something else is going on. Like I told you earlier in my results, oranges was flagged for me. And I actually did notice like back then, I wouldn't necessarily have gut issues if I ate oranges. When I had citrus fruits, I would have like a weird reaction. Like I wouldn't feel good after eating citrus fruits. Same with when I had SIBO, like foods like bananas, cauliflower would make me so gassy, so gassy. Now that I've resolved my SIBO, I've improved my gut health, life is good for me. I can eat bananas, cauliflower, all the things, oranges, citrus fruits, no problem whatsoever. The only foods that I continue to avoid are gluten and dairy. Like I said, personal choice. I may or may not be able to eat them now. I don't know. I don't really care. I also avoid like inflammatory oils, canola oil, seed oils, also a personal choice. Those just aren't good for you, for anybody. I don't buy them. I don't buy products that contain them. But if I'm out to eat, I'm out at a friend's place, whatever, I'm not like, hey, what's that oil over there? Like I'll let it go because I can get away with eating a little bit now without having pain and suffering. My other reason for sharing this story with you today is a bit of a motivator. So if you were anything like me at the beginning, like you're thinking, wow, I eat so bad I don't do any exercise. I don't have a sleep schedule. I'm a mess. Like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to get from where I am now to where she is. I was that person. Like, I was such a mess. I can't imagine that anyone was worse off than me in those departments. Like, my friends say to me today, like, wow, your transformation is insane. If you told us back then that this is who you were going to be 10, 15 years from now, we wouldn't believe you. We would have laughed at you. You can change your habits if you want to. I had no desire at the beginning, but as I started seeing what was possible and I started doing research on gut health, I became super motivated. Like, I saw what was possible for me. And I said, I want that. Like, I want to get rid of my bloat. I want to be able to eat out at restaurants with my friends and not feel like I'm going to shit my pants. I want to be able to go out on a date with my boyfriend and wear a cute dress. Like, I want these things for myself. And if I just keep doing what I'm doing, that's not going to happen. If you take anything away from this, please let it be that you can get what you want. If whatever your goal is for your gut health, for your lifestyle, whatever it is that you want, you can have it. You just need to work towards it. It's not going to happen overnight. It took me over 5 years to get to the place where I am now, and that was because I was off to a very slow start. I had no knowledge on gut health. I was starting from zero, and nobody would help me. Like, I went to doctors, naturopaths, whatnot. I'm not saying they didn't try, some of them, but they were unsuccessful. So I ultimately had to learn everything and do everything on my own, which takes a lot of time. But you have me, so please use me as your resource. And speaking of resources, I have a free resource for you. Like I told you in the beginning, I had no idea what to eat. I was a mess, and I just needed some guidance. So what I've created is a free 5-day meal plan. This meal plan is designed to help eliminate bloat. It's gluten-free, dairy-free, refined sugar-free, and it's high in protein. All of the ingredients are anti-inflammatory. So everything in this meal plan is designed to improve your gut health, reduce inflammation, decrease bloat, all of the things that you want. It includes recipes and an ingredients list. So the grocery list is already done for you. 5 days, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. So all you have to do, download the free meal plan, print it off. You've got recipes, you've got a grocery list, you're good to go. You can find the meal plan at beyondbloated.com/freebies, FREEBIES. If you do decide to download the meal plan, I'd love for you to let me know what you think. Send me a DM on Instagram at beyond.bloated, or send me an email, carlyclose@beyondbloated.com. Tell me what you like about it. Tell me what you don't like about it. If you try any of the recipes, send me pictures. I want to see. So happy meal planning. Enjoy your free 5-day meal plan, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you for listening to the Beyond Bloated podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review. And don't forget to share this podcast with your fellow gut goddesses. If you'd like to chat about today's episode, send me a DM on Instagram at beyond.bloated. Until next time, bye!